Well, well now. I need my ladies to shimmy on in the room because I need to know if y'all saw Andrew Schultz clown and fact check the Giggles podcast. So apparently, Fuhad and James had an opportunity to remove the disrespect. They had an opportunity, they had a moment to remove the disrespect because this was a taped show. And they had some things put on the cutting room floor. Like when Chris and I used to tape the show, we would put some things on the cutting room floor. Oh, I remember one joke in particular. Chris was like, you make sure you put that out. And I did. And that's one of those, we're real friends, so we could joke around with each other like that because we know each other's hearts, so we could say some shit. But we didn't let that air. But why is it that you let that whole black women conversation go right on by? Why didn't your fight or flight kick in after the episode aired? Because I can definitely say, like, when you're airing something, when you're filming, some inappropriate jokes are going to happen, but why let it air? CB, what are your thoughts? CB? Hello? There you go. Hello? Oh, you didn't see it fill you in? Hold on. I'm going to see if I could drop the link. You know what? I ain't gonna drop the link because we're not gonna give them a click and a view to make $1 or $2. Okay, Pan P, what do you think about this? Because they said it was fight or flight. We didn't know what, we were very uncomfortable. We just wanted him to move on. And now we find out afterwards you had a whole editing session with them, but yet that you didn't feel the need to take out.
I don't believe anything that they've said. I didn't even listen to the apology, um, just because I know that it's not coming from a sincere place. So I'm sure that there's their fans that are, completely thrilled. But I, on the other hand, didn't listen to the apology. Don't necessarily think anything of them. They're not moving the culture as much as they think that they are. And as far as it comes to this, flight or fight, I'm trying to figure out what are you threatened by? A random ass white man that again doesn't really have that much of a pull in our community, please.
100%. CB, can we hear you now? Still can't hear you, CB. Still can't hear you. I agree, P. I feel that this was an apology that came from the pocketbook, not the heart. It came from the wallet. It came from, we don't want to lose numbers.
Yep.
We don't want to lose brand deals, because this is definitely a popularity game. It's a talent game. You do have to be talented. You do have to have the je ne sais quoi, but you also have to be popular. You've got to be popular. We need you popular. I can do Wicked. I can
Not
do it.
not only that, but if it was coming from a sincere place, right? Why is it that you went through the motion of deleting 100 videos, the first 100 videos off of your YouTube channel? If it was coming from such a sincere place, what you were trying to do is to make sure that folks can, connect what you did now to what you have said in the past and come up with a pattern of misogynistic statements.
Or anti-Black women statements.
That too.
When Black women are the ones putting shirts on your back, roofs over your head, they're the ones listening to you. They're your majority listeners. Know how I know? Because I'm a Black podcast too. Well, half of one. And My audience, I can pull up the numbers right now, 85% women. Now, it doesn't break it down by race. Google does not break it down by race. Maybe when I get 100,000 subscribers, it will. But I know, I'm guessing probably 95% of that is Black women. Just gonna guess. But it doesn't break it down by race.
And to be perfectly honest, to be in this position as a podcast or even to have a YouTube channel, while I don't expect you to have the gift of gab, I do expect you to be able to string words together in a way that the average person can understand. If you can't do that off the tip of your head, you go on these podcasts or whatever, you don't do your research, you can't, speak as eloquently as you should. Get up and leave. Say shut the deuces and just get out.
I'll also say, like, there are there are questions that you need to be prepared for, especially going on a podcast like that. Like, it's like going on the Breakfast Club. They're going to ask some gotcha questions.
Yep.
Oh, it's Asia. Oh, girl. Oh, I know she gonna sound off. But they're going to ask you some gotcha questions where you need to have an answer ready. I feel like especially as Black men that date interracially, that's going to get brought up, and people are going to ask you that question trying to get a gotcha response. Because I've had people do that with me. Oh, like trying to ask me, do you date white men, in a way that makes me put Black men down? And I'm like, look, hold on. But I see where you're trying to go with this. You had their ass off at the path. I see where you're trying to go with this. Now, if you want to have a real conversation about dating politics, we can, but I don't think that's what you're interested in. I think you're trying to get me to throw my own race under the bus. Well, that's not what we're doing here. Like when he said, oh, do you, do you date, do you even date Black girls? Or he didn't say, do you even, but it was implied. Yeah. He was like, do you date Black girls? Yeah, we date Black girls. We date white girls. And I mean, you're men living in London. You're going to date some of everybody. You're living in a major city. If you're living in a major city and you don't date some of everybody, that's weird to me. Mm-hmm. That's weird to me. Like maybe if you in a small city.
Maybe I'm weird because I live in a major city and I do not date everybody.
You're young yet, but honey, expand your horizons. Expand your horizons. I didn't say marry, but expand your horizons. You learn a lot. You really do. I'm grateful I've dated some of everybody. That way some stuff doesn't surprise you as much. But Asia, what are your thoughts
on the whole thing? I mean,
well, no, first, wait, let's I want your thoughts chronologically.
Specifically on the two guys, right? On the
I want to start with your reaction to how they acted in the interview, and then about the exposing of the apology.
Okay. So to be honest with you, the way I encountered it was I first heard about them when they said that there were no baddies in Atlanta. So when I'm watching this interview, that's in the back of my mind because that was what was mentioned. So already I'm coming in with side eye. Then when I watched the interview, I feel like they thought that what the guy was saying was funny. I think that Black women being the butt of the joke is not uncommon. I don't think that they were, I think that they wholeheartedly thought it was funny and saw nothing wrong with it, saw nothing wrong with the jokes. Then when I watched the apology, I feel like, one, they never apologized to Black women. They just apologized to their community. So I don't think real accountability had been taken. Also, what I also was upset about was not only did they not check the person, because it was two people who made the joke. It wasn't just Andrew or whatever his name is, but it also was a person of color that was sitting next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because there's so many moving parts, and I feel like because I'm not mad that the people who need to be held accountable are the two, Lord Farquaad and Jimmy John. I think Lord Farquaad and Jimmy John are the ones that need to be held accountable because they are quote unquote black men. Um, but then after that, I think a conversation also needs to be had about the fact that, you know, people are going to be people in, but his sidekick next to him, those are dangerous people as well, because because nobody's really bringing, from what I've noticed, nobody's really bringing him up, but his sentiments, his anti-black sentiments, are shared, and from what I find, a lot in his community as well, even though he was darker than Jimmy John. So I think that's also interesting. But yeah, I think that their apology was foolishness. Um, I noticed that Lord Farquaad didn't really say much. I don't think he really was apologetic. I think James might have felt a little bit more um, convicted about his behavior, but I think also because of his proximity and his privilege, I don't think the internalized self-hate is as strong as it is in Lord Farquaad, in the way that he was very complacent and very silent during the offense and during the apology. And that's just my take on it.
He was very silent now that you mention it. And American, I'm sorry, African, I can't pronounce that.
African
Azatan. Azatan.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone catch the wow when they said that they date white women? It was a joke that went
Mm,
way over their head.
no, I didn't catch that one. But
Southern Girl, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Alex. Hello, everybody on the panel.
hi.
When are we going to stop giving everybody a microphone?
Amen.
Not saying that everybody don't deserve one, but their audience were black women. I would watch some of their TikToks and I would thought, that's interesting. They're younger than me. I'm a woman of age. I'm 50. But my thing is, when are we going to stop giving everybody a platform to say what they want to say and not be accountable? I am tired of these young men, black men especially, have been lately on these microphones.
Straight black men.
Straight black men.
Straight
Thank
black
you.
men.
Straight black
We do
men.
what we're supposed to do with our microphones.
Instead of them
Not
protecting us,
always.
or even supporting us, because some of us are ratchet out here, and I get that. But protect us. But they sit there and they talk about us and we're too masculine and I don't date black women. Well, that's your preference. You don't have to date black women.
Okay, now
But
I want to talk about this.
Okay.
I also don't date black women. Do I talk about it?
Okay, but
but here, as I don't date women, but do I talk about how much, like, as a gay man? And that's the thing. Like, there was a great quote about being like from a lesbian that was talking about other women that like experiment and like how she can tell, and she's like, I can tell women that are experimenting because they talk about how much they hate men, not how much they love women.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And so it's like, I talk about how much I love men. I like women, but it's not the same emotion.
But we can tell by the way you are on your podcasts and what you do, that you love black women.
Thank you.
You can feel that when you talk, even when you talking bad about them, even when you go off on Nene and you have that shake and go wig on, we can tell, but that's love. That's not,
exactly.
I just don't like you because I don't like you because you're like, we can tell you have, your mother's a black woman. We can get that.
So can I
handy.
I want to say something when you finish.
Oh, go ahead. I'm finished.
I make fun of wigs. I make fun of clothing. I make fun of a poor choice or a cruel action. I do not make fun of the person themselves.
So I think I think them having a mic is important because it's showing something. Because I think I read somewhere somebody talk about quotes when they're like, oh, everything has is amping up, and they're like, no, a lot of these things has always been this way. A
That's
lot of
true.
these sentiments and feelings have always been felt, but social media is just exposing. And
That's true
so
too. Yep.
I think in relation, I think Southern Girl said something really that stood out to me when she said about the accountability piece, right? How are they getting on these platforms and not being held accountable? Sweetheart, this is what accountability is starting to look like, because for so long they've been disrespecting us and saying things and being the butt
That
of
is
the
true.
joke and stuff like that, and there
But
has been no accountability had. And so now it's starting to look like this, because also a lot of women are also delusional in thinking that that men don't feel this way about them, and they do. Every time I go on social media, there's a story about a black man who done harmed
A black
a black
woman, yeah,
woman,
just
Yep.
recently.
and
Yep.
that was close to them, that they
Yep.
probably told at one point that they loved them, whether it's their mother, their child, the mother of their child, or whatever, their sister. Okay. This one guy, he harmed his twin sister, unalived his twin sister.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and so it's like, and while those things are terrible, like these conversations were never had, and these things we have to go through the ugly in order for us to heal. And that's why these men are in a tizzy, because the women are saying, okay, this is not just my experience, I'm not by myself, this is happening on a mass level, so now we're all coming together and we're saying we're not dealing with it.
I also feel like they're not being held accountable because they're going places like they went to Andrew Schultz, like a white man that disrespects black women on the general. So it's like they're not going to be held accountable because they're going places where people already know. Like he asked them to do like white women or black women. Like he already knew the answer.
Also, I got this to throw at you.
Okay.
Someone came up with a very intelligent theory
Hmm.
that Andrew Schultz did this on purpose to hurt his competition podcast.
I thought of that
I
too.
believe that too. But I feel like it's both ways. Like he already knew what he was getting into with them. And I feel like if you're going places like different podcasts, you should watch them and see what they're really about. Because if you align with
Get
them,
down.
then you go. But if you realize that they're not really what you're about, then you shouldn't. But clearly that, they don't really like black women, which is why they went there in the first place. And he
That
already
part,
knew that.
because they could have did some research on before they left. A
Exactly.
smart
Oh yeah.
person would have did that.
Exactly.
And
To
this
be oh,
reminds me of the Matt Rife incident. Now, I don't know if
Yep.
y'all know him.
I know
no,
him.
He
please
is
enlighten.
Unfortunately.
Mm-mm.
A
he's
white.
a
Yeah.
white comedian
Hmm.
that got some plastic surgery, and I have to say that I want to go to his
Lay
doctor. I
down.
want to get that same jaw work. I will get that same jaw.
Hmm.
I ain't mad. I'm mad at him. I ain't mad at the surgery.
Lay down,
I'm mad at
baby.
the surgery now. Surgery ain't done shit to me. But he had a lot of women fans because he was cute. And also, I think
Oh, the
a lot
boy
of
from
men
Wildin'
don't
Out.
like, yeah, when he
Yeah.
got that work done,
Okay.
like, boy, look good. Can't even argue with it. Shitty person, but still look good.
Mhm.
But a lot of men don't understand women are the main consumers of entertainment. Men
Exactly.
don't get that. They don't get that. And really, like, it's something that isn't talked about. And I don't know why it's not talked about, but you find it out very quickly once you get into it. And you're like, oh, like once you start seeing the metrics, you're like, okay, all right, this is very much a women-centric business.
Well,
And
there's
so
more
if
women
you
Yeah.
involved than men, number one. And number two, if you're a somewhat deemed attractive looking person, women aren't going to flock and listen to you, regardless of what, till you show your truth. And then hopefully they realize that you ain't ish. But,
But to be but to
don't.
be oh, sorry.
Or go
No,
ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just about to say, but to be perfectly honest, that behavior where a lot of men go out of their way to distance or to be distant from their female base mirrors what a lot of networks do with a lot of their TV shows. They'll go ahead and produce a lot of these shows that have a lot of diversity and inclusivity and all that stuff to sort of garner different types of, you know, fans. And then once they get all of this popularity. We can see that with Fox. We can see that with HBO/Max. They get rid of a lot of those shows in order to attract a much more, let's just say, mainstream demographic.
I'll also say, like, well, I feel like women are a mainstream. Like Matt Rife had white women, which is a
Right.
mainstream.
That's what I was thinking.
But
He
he
assaulted
wanted
white
the
women.
but wait, he wanted the approval of men.
Yep.
Right.
That's why he did that last special, making all these, very misogynistic jokes. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't bring any men in, it just turned women off. And also, what men don't understand is you would much rather have women fans than men fans, because women fans are going to buy your merch.
That
Women
part.
fans are going to go to your concerts. Like,
That part.
if me and Chris do pop roast, there's going to be about 5 men in there, maybe 10 if some of y'all bring your husbands or your boyfriends.
You know what I think it is
Listen
also?
to us
I
Men
think it's
tangentially,
wanted
and
by
we're
other
like,
men.
okay, they gay, but they funny. Shit, I'm secure in
okay.
me. I can laugh.
I
Mhm.
also think it's I think two things go into that as well. I think one is also media training, right? Because there are some artists like I'll use Usher for example. With all the scandals that he has with women and men and accusations and things like that, what I will say is that he's never disrespected black women because he knows that's who his base is. And so you can see, and so there are other, and I only use him as one example, but there are many who also understand what side their butter is. What is it? What is this phrase? What side
Side their bread is
is
buttered.
buttered on.
Yes.
And so I think that also goes into media training. But real quick, I also wanted to say this point before I forgot. When it comes to I hear the theory about him trying to X out his competition, but me personally, I don't think it was that deep because I think he was showing up authentically as himself. I think he feels as though he has the entitlement to make these jokes and say whatever he wants to say because I hear these type of jokes and those type of sentiments even from people who look like him who aren't famous, and then if you call them out on it they feel like oh, you're just playing the card, you're just doing this and you're just doing that. And so now that there's all of this backlash, of course it would be one thing if they would have been like, why are you saying all of this, right? If their response would have been different and would have been like, hey, that's not cool, and then there was backlash, then he wouldn't really have anything to stand on. I wouldn't even be surprised if he cut it out. But because they participated in it, and now that there's backlash, of course he's going to divert it because this is not the first time where he said anti-black jokes. And so also, like you said, somebody said, why didn't they do their due diligence? They probably did, but they probably thought all the jokes were funny.
But I
Like
feel
he
like
said, like he said, all you asked for other things to be edited out, but you didn't
Well,
think
now,
this was
now, now,
something to be
hold
edited
on, now,
out.
well, he
Asia.
was with Charlemagne, and I feel like when white
Now,
men
I
get with
can
black
say
men, go ahead.
I have gone on Tasha K's channel a
You
couple
have.
times, and Tasha K has said some things that everybody doesn't agree with. But I decided that this was an opportunity that I was willing to take.
But I feel like that's
But did you
different
hear what I
because
said though, Alex?
they
Even though you
don't.
showed up on Tasha's channel, that doesn't mean that you necessarily participated in some of the things that she said. It would have been different because there was other people like Van or whatever his name is, whatever that guy's name is from TMZ that got fired. He also showed up on that podcast. And when Andrew was making those jokes, something was said.
I feel like they because like he was with Charlemagne Andrew, and I feel like because he heard probably black men say these things, so he's thinking, oh, it's okay for me to say it, and it's not
Yep.
though. And the fact that they didn't check him
Yep,
just
that
shows how a
part.
lot of black men are when it comes to black women. Like, you guys don't protect us. Not saying that we
No,
need them to, because clearly they
And
don't.
because they
But
want
it's
the
just sad
approval
though.
of white men.
Man, exactly. They think
Mm-hmm.
that what makes them better, or if this white guy
Mm-hmm.
likes me, oh, that I'm really in and this and that.
that
That's not
part.
the
Mm-hmm.
case.
That's
Plus,
perfect.
I
Yep.
feel like they didn't need, like, they could have checked him and left or said something, because they don't really need, like, they're not up and coming. Like, they had the ability, they have the
Exactly. They're
money.
one of the most,
So
like, they are a big popular
they're very,
podcast.
yeah, here and in the
They,
UK.
and also they have the whole European market.
That
They're
part.
Exactly.
the American market and the European market.
So
Like,
you're not losing money to be respectful and to
so
try to
I
hold
would have walked
people
off.
accountable. Like, that white
But
man
I
asking for
know,
that, it's just disgusting.
but I wouldn't have tolerated that.
No,
Exactly.
I would have got up. I would have got up
I
and
would have
left.
said something
You
smart
wouldn't
and I
have
would have
done the
left.
same thing.
Right.
I'm sorry, but
You
and
don't
I'm
know
like,
to
maybe that
respect
is
black
a
people.
straight black man thing, but as a gay black man who is constantly, consistently, and everlastingly tried,
Thank you.
I'm ready for you.
Exactly. And that
I am
just shows
ready.
you the kind of people they are.
You know what? I'm just tired of right now. It's like, and I don't want to say this, but it feels like it's an attack on black women right now.
It is. It has been, and it is an attack. And it's
And
always
I'm
an
tired
excuse.
of it. And I'm
And it's
tired.
also these men are not attracted to black women. It's not.
No.
They won't say
Everybody
that
has
to
their
get They
preference.
say that to get attention.
That part.
Also, if they were happy with white women, they would be happy with white women. They wouldn't be. You know the men that are happy with white men. You know them corny men that are happy with white men. Notice how they're not on the mic.
That's what I was about to say, Alex. I was just about to say, do you see any white men on the mic talking bad about white women? Do you ever
No,
see
and
Spanish men on the mic talking about?
exactly.
The ones that are actually married to white women, the ones that are actually in interracial relationships, because let's just look at the fucking numbers. You've got a pretty good chance of being in one. We are, what, 15% of the population? And that's America-wide. So depending on what city you live in, there may not, like, you may end up loving who you love. It doesn't
And I
matter.
feel like there's no
Does he
problem
treat
in
you
like,
well? Did he get life insurance on you? Does he treat your kid well? That's all that matters.
Exactly. I feel like race is not important, but when it's brought up, like, you don't have to dog another race just because that's not who you like. You like who you like. It is what it is.
Do you hear gay men talking about vaginas?
Yes.
No.
Alex,
don't.
please
Do you
stop.
hear
That sentiment is
lesbians
false.
talking about penises? No.
Alex.
You don't.
Alex.
Do you hear lesbians talking about men?
Yes.
Gay men talk about women, but not the ones we want to sleep with.
Yes.
We talking about
I
Judy,
hear it
Barbara,
all.
Liza.
I hear it all. I hear gay men can be just as misogynistic as straight men. Even though
out of the
different.
girl,
some of them,
Asia, one, I have to tell you something behind the scenes.
Some of them.
Okay.
And two,
and then also,
girl, I almost said something so shady.
And I also
almost
know
said, why are we
studs.
bringing up? But I didn't.
I'm sorry, because let's talk about it. I also hear studs say a lot of anti-gay things about gay men, and I be looking at them like just like you. So like, let's not do that, because that's false.
But Asia, are they on a national platform talking about it though?
Yes.
I'm talking about with lots of subscribers. I haven't seen it.
I do agree with Asia, because I have seen it. So I feel like everybody, straight, bi, non-binary, they all talk about everybody else. It might not be. It's more straight men maybe and other men, but everybody does talk about everybody. I do.
They do. The disrespect just probably looks or feels different. Like look at Saucy Santana and the slugs that he makes, and he has a platform, and the things that he says about black women, and then Funky Dineva and the deplorable things that he said on national on Fox. And so what I'm saying is it's happening, and those are just two examples. And then on top of that, I just wanted to say this too. Yes, there are white men that talk about disparagingly about white women. Like that. This goes to like when people say that. For me, this is not a personal attack. This is my personal feelings. It's like when I go in the comments and there's like the whole Diddy thing, and people are like, well, what about Harvey Weinstein and the people from Nickelodeon? And somebody clocked it and said, you are only in black spaces, so you're going to see what black people in black spaces are saying. When you go into these white spaces, if you go on the white blogs, you're going to see them talking about Harvey Weinstein. You're going to see them talking about the people from Nickelodeon. But you have to change your algorithm so you can see these things. And so, like, I've never. The only reason why I even seen Andrew is because of the black people who go on those spaces. I do not seek out these white podcasts. Okay, bloody. All right. I don't seek out like these white podcasts and things like that.
I'm getting better at them too.
My demographic is on there, I'm not gonna see them. You're getting better and better at painting them nails, Alex, because sometimes they be, kind of scary.
It doesn't look like I dipped my finger in the bottle.
Right.
That's true. But no, Asia, you're definitely 100% right though. Like, I definitely agree with you. And I feel
And
like
honestly,
you're not
I
gonna
could care
see
less about what white men are saying. Like if like I don't date
white
them. I
people in
know
general. Like, I'm not living
right
for
because
that, but
at
you
the
know,
end of the day, like if I just feel like we have to continue, like keep your foot on their necks, whether you're dating them or not, because like I said, these are not just things that are showing up in romantic relationships, even though that's what they're talking about. These things are
all
also showing
aspects
up
of
in
life.
and brother sister relationships,
Exactly.
cousin relationships. There, if you go on TikTok, you'll see like girls talking about, and it's not just blacks. There's a whole
I know.
documentary about those boys that all had schizophrenia and they were terrorizing their sisters
Well,
and
if they
their
had
wives.
schizophrenia, well, wait now, if
Well,
they
yeah, they
if
had
they literally
schizophrenia.
said they had a mental illness, then
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different.
that's not bad black men behavior. That's a mental illness. Let's
No, I'm not saying that that's bad black men behavior. What I'm saying is we a lot of the focus on how men show up with women is always on a romantic level. But what I'm saying is these sentiments aren't just in romantic relationships, they're also in familiar relationships or just friendships. And then I caveated that to say, and it's not just black women who are talking about how their brother gives them hell. White women are talking about the same thing and how their brothers will treat them like hell. Now, that was an extreme example with the schizophrenia, but I still say their parents allowed for certain things to happen, and it was at the expense of their sisters. So men are terrorizing women,
In all
men
aspects,
who show up
all
that
forms.
way, because it's not all men. So men who have that type of disposition are not only treating their romantic partners that way, but they're also treating their family members that way as well. That's what I'm saying.
so that kind of so now that you say that, so black, that is really interesting. Yeah, that is, it's, so you're saying it's a part of the whole family system.
Right, because if like when they say, oh, the way a boy, if the boy treats his mom good, he's gonna treat me good. That's
And
not
I don't
true.
mean nothing.
And also a lot of times these relationships aren't that he treats her good because she enables his bad behavior, but it's not, but if she holds him accountable, then that's when you would really see how far that treatment and that kindness and softness would go. Same with the sister. Like there's a lot of times where it'll even be passive things, like let's just say I don't know, like I can't think of anything right now at the top of my
Well,
head, but it
hold on,
just
hold on.
shows up in different ways.
I have to disagree on something because
Okay.
we can say that how they're treating women is the way, they're not getting treated at home with mom. But you got to understand too, we got a lot of these young boys out here, the mamas that are, a lot of them are taking care of their kids, their sons, and they are trying to do the best thing they can. And some of them just turn out bad. Some of them are in two-parent households. Cam Newton, i.e.,
Yep.
and look
Perfect
how he act.
example. But that goes to what I just said though.
Yeah, like,
What I
but
said is the
we.
delusion. It's delusion. Oh, I'm sure Cam Newton probably treats his mom right, but I wouldn't be surprised if she enables Cam Newton because look at
Oh,
the way he
for
shows up.
sure.
And
Yeah.
so
And his
the day
dad.
that she holds him accountable and tells him that he's wrong, I wonder how he would show up. I wonder if that mama's boy and only live my mom, I wonder if she would get that same treatment. That's what I'm
That's
talking
true.
about. That's what
I
I
will
meant.
say I am not a mama's boy, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Well, my thing for the mama's boy, and I'm gonna say this because I have twin boys. They're 17. They're not mama's boys. I just treat them to respect women,
Right.
and they're gonna respect me as well. Now, when they leave my house, I'm gonna support them. I may not like the heifer they with, but I'm gonna let them make that decision on their own.
Hold on,
But
you might end up like my mother, where she doesn't have to worry about that at all. She
But you
never
know what I'm
has to
saying? Like,
worry
Asia,
about.
I get what you're saying. You made a very good point, sis. You made a very good point. But I just, the thing with me is that I'm tired of the young, and I don't know if the older men my age are listening to a lot of this mess, but I feel for my younger sisters because I do feel like they're laughing they're laughing at us. They're, like you said, it's ingrained in them, and this is exposing them. And you're right, the internet is a curse and
And a blessing.
a blessing,
Yeah.
because
Speak,
it is
girl.
opening up everybody's dirty
I feel like
bandages
it's
and
showing
showing
people.
all the filth.
I feel like it's
Oh, we
showing
have Faro
people's.
Rocher. What are your thoughts, Faro? Faro Rocher, you've just joined. Hello.
You might be on mute.
Han, you on mute.
I
Okay,
just
I
wanted to
guess
say,
you
I
are.
feel like the internet shows people's truth. So like, it's not showing you what, like it's showing you who they really are. And people
Mm-hmm.
think like, it's like I said, it's good and bad because some
Yeah,
people's truth is just crazy and some,
it's
but
ugly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 100%.
And I want to say that this is also very much a cycle, right? So I'm one of
Mm-hmm.
those people that was on Twitter back in the,
It's Twitter.
2011, 2012s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the amount of insults that Black women were receiving on that platform. And
Mm-hmm.
it was out of control. And to
Yep.
see it after a while, you sort of you create you try to navigate a lot of these social media platforms by making sure that you follow the right accounts and
Mm-hmm.
that your
Mm-hmm.
algorithm, is the one that you want, because if you are on there on these platforms long enough, you get
Mm-hmm.
inundated with a lot of these negative images
Yes.
of
Mm-hmm.
Black women or
Yes.
Black
Mm-hmm.
men or Black members of the LGBTQIA. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's talk about that
listen,
for a
because
Mm-hmm.
moment. Let
you
me
will get it
interject because
every day. I
Yep.
have to constantly fix who is on my FYP, who
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
then how to mute certain words, because it is just
It's
all
draining,
over the place.
Yep.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
and it
I
will
would
really
love to
affect you.
know why, like you said, the images of the Black LGBTQ that aren't the best, those get
Mm-hmm.
so much press and promotion,
Mhm.
but pop
Mm-hmm.
always stays buried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we got to see everybody fighting or clawing or talking bad about somebody, cursing somebody out,
Yep.
doing something crazy, doing it's so much.
Toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's toxic. It feels
like
heavy.
the negative gets more press than the
Yep.
positive, and it's
Positive.
sad.
You are absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's really, really sad, honestly.
Yep. And I try to be open minded. I try to accept both the bad parts and the good parts of
Yeah,
culture, because I'm human just like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. But after a while, it's just like you start becoming a little bit conservative, because you're just like, why am I seeing all this all the time? What's
Yep.
going on? Why are they doing this? And then I literally have to take a step back and be like, Marsha, they're just human.
yeah, it's
They're
sad, but
human
it's
just
true.
like you. Give them, try to give them a little bit grace. But the older I get, the harder it becomes at times.
Because you
You
see
can give
how like
grace by blocking them.
Yeah.
That's what
That's,
I do.
but I mean, that works, but it doesn't. It works for a little while, because I'll tell you, there's times I open my TikTok and I'm somehow in conservative TikTok, and I'm like,
Girl.
what the hell just happened?
Girl, I've been working overtime trying to get out of Hotep TikTok. To
That
the point
too.
where
Honey,
to the
I'll
point
tell you
where
why you on Hotep
and it's
TikTok. You
like
on
this is
Hotep
not what I'm
TikTok because you
asking
gotta
for.
picture yourself with
Why
them
am I over
braids.
here?
You got that. It's the dreads, honey. You got to give just a full face. Take them dreads
Okay.
out and change the
Crazy.
algorithm.
You know how many I've blocked and blocked and blocked and blocked, and I'm like, and I'm still like they're still
No,
popping up.
ooh, I'll tell you also why, Asia. I'm gonna tell you why. No, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad
Okay.
at me. Here's how. Like, I think you watch them just a little bit, and a lot of
Watch
times it's a
who?
Black person, so you're like, oh, okay, who's this? Like, and then you're
I
like,
watched
oh,
it like that's the thing. Yes. So I before I realized it was Hotep,
okay.
I was listening to, and then when I realized it was Hotep, scrolled
And
out. But it's
so
like one
here's
but because it popped up one time, it was like I'm just
you
gonna
have to
open the floodgates.
I've learned a way with TikTok that help. Now, this works for me. I don't know if this is going to work for you, but I call it rage scrolling, where you really go past it as fast as you possibly can. And I notice when I do that, it doesn't show me it anymore.
I
Like
just
the-
learned that. I didn't know. So that was another thing too. I was learning TikTok. I didn't know that. Like, if I see something and I just want to hear what somebody is saying, then it's like you're telling, like, they even count how long you stay to watch, even if you don't like it. And so sometimes if it looks Hotep and it might not even be Hotep, now I just make sure to scroll past it, like Alex just said, because I can't just be like trying to just hear what everybody is saying and what's coming across my page.
Yeah, you're right. But so now that we know that these gentlemen are, honestly, it seems more like a rage bait. And then this apology was, I don't even know what to call this other than a lie.
It wasn't an apology.
It was a placation. It was, we're doing this preemptively because we don't want to hear anything from our advertisers or our podcast network, because their podcast network, I don't know who they're signed with, but they're signed with somebody that handles their advertisements, where they just do their ad reads or have that shit popped in. So now that we know this, are we listening anymore?
I never listened to begin with, so
yeah, I didn't listen to them at all when they first started.
I would listen to snippets of some of the stuff they said, but a lot of that stuff was very sexual. And not that I'm not sexual, but I don't want to hear a 20-year-old talk about what he doing, because that can't get me nowhere. So
that's another thing too. It's a demographic.
They was in their 30s. Again, I'm 50. I'm like, little boy, no.
Oh, really?
Okay, well, I'm 42. I'm 42, so they're prime picking for me.
Well,
not only that, but we've heard this before.
Right, but okay, but
well,
yeah, we've heard it before. You're right. We've heard it before. So
yeah, I'm 40. I've heard this before.
I think it's also a certain demographic, because it's younger women. They said it's younger women, and I think it's also a lot of pick-me's, even ones that don't know, and then even ones that don't know that they're pick-me's, because I feel like that type of stuff just wouldn't, because I've seen them and I scroll right by them as well, because for me, I'm just not interested in like the man podcast or whatever.
The man spheres.
Yeah, I'm not like, I never watched Charlemagne's podcast, or I can't even, that's the only man one I can, or Kevin Samuels. I mean, as you can see, I'm not very versed on the male ones, but I feel like the women who watch those, they also fit into a certain demographic and listening to try to see if they can pick up tools on how to get a man, and that's exactly the vibe that it's giving. I'm sorry, but it is.
It's too much.
I will say I watched them because they had because they had a different background. Like I like listening to them talk about like being from a different country. Like those are the clips that I would watch where I was like, oh wow, these are like, I was like, oh look, it's Pop Roast with more money.
I can't listen to them. Like, I don't need a man to tell me like, oh, my woman needs to do this and do that. Like, those are the kind of, like you said, like those are the pick-me's and the ones that I'm good, because I already know what I want and what I need.
Maybe I was like a Jane Goodall, where I was like, okay, let's go into the world of the heterosexual.
Like, I do listen to them just to see, but then it's like when they start the woman shaming, my woman can't do this.
My woman can. Now, okay, now I will say the only thing I could hear a man say my woman can't is and this is because I would say it myself. I couldn't date anyone in service. I could understand a man saying I couldn't date a woman in service if and that means military, fire, police.
Oh, I thought you were like OnlyFans.
Hold on. Wait. Let me finish. I could understand any human saying, I don't want to marry someone where they may not come home. The world is dangerous enough. And as someone who has been in service, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to put somebody through that, deployments and all. I can get that. That's the only thing where I'm like, because that job affects you, it affects your family. I can see them saying, like, if we were going to really be together, that's not something I could deal with.
No,
On
that
the
I
other hand, you can't
understand
really tell your spouse what to do.
because my brother was in the army and then I was in the army too, so that I
Oh,
understand.
thank you for your services, both of y'all.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Naya. I'm so glad you get it. Where it's like, this is not
So
coming from
that
a place of
I
misogyny. This is from a
yeah.
place of, I was in during September 11th, and
Yeah, I
you
was in
know,
the city too. It's scary, so I understand, because like you said, you might not come home, so that is understandable. But them, like the ones I've seen, they're talking about like I can't date a woman that has more than 3 bodies, but they slept with 100 women. Like
I'm
that's what I
sorry.
mean. Like you can't,
Why wouldn't you
Oh
really
my
like you
gosh.
can't compare the two. Like
Why
that's what I'm
wouldn't you
saying.
want a woman that was experienced? Now, I'm not going to give you my number because I can't count that high.
My thing is
But
this.
Listen, everybody has a past. Everybody can do what they
Everybody
want
has
to
a
do,
past, but my thing
but
is this: as long
don't
as they
judge.
healthy and
Exactly, but
they
don't
around
judge.
here,
Period.
out here, like what does it matter what they had in the past? You need to worry about if they can pay a bill.
That's
Because
what I'm
that's a
If
way.
saying.
they
That's
Like,
just
got,
another
and
way to
you
be
need
able to
to worry
shame
about
women.
how well you eat pussy.
oh
I
my
don't hear
gosh,
any of these men bragging on the tongue game. I don't hear none of
it's
it.
important.
I don't hear none of it. Now, I know a couple men that brag on their tongue
I
game.
do. We just don't want to hear it from him. What's it called? It was just telling Glorilla how he would do it, and we
oh
all were
no,
Oh
thoroughly
yeah.
disgusted.
Ew. Sugar
who
daddy.
said it? Who said
Who
that?
said
Sugar
that?
daddy.
The Mucinex monster.
Yeah,
Oh
trick
no,
daddy.
not Trick Daddy Dollars. Oh
Oh,
no.
Nasty,
hell.
nasty self.
Oh Lord, well,
Oh,
we can't
hell.
talk about zombies.
Ugh.
That's not.
I said the ones that
Listen,
are talking about it, we don't want to hear it from.
Exactly, they're not desirable. Like,
I would
Child.
rather scrape my bare ass on salt
Oh Lord,
than,
Al Reynolds is in the building.
than
Oh, wait a minute. You know
think
who else was
about
talking
Trick
about
Daddy.
Shannon when he dropped his tape?
Oh, Lord.
oh
You mean that
goodness,
mixtape?
Shannon
Because
Sharp. Oh my God.
because
I
Oh,
mean,
Not
lied on one of
self.
his
Shannon.
he
That's
lied
not
on one of his interviews saying that he doesn't do it, but it sounded like that's what he was doing on that fake
What is
tape that he
wrong with
dropped.
like I don't now this is me as a sissy.
Lord Jesus.
As a true sissy, I don't understand why men are not proud of their tongue game. I don't understand why men are not proud of eating pussy, why men are ashamed of eating pussy.
Because it's
I
for the
don't
pleasure
understand.
of what it's for the pleasure of women. And anything dealing with making a woman happy is
yeah,
seen as lesser.
you're a simp. They
Yes.
love to use that
Um,
word.
You
now with
protect
that, I think it
They
might
don't know
also
how
even be.
women work. Like, I understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. But also, like, that completely goes against the way female anatomy works. You eat it first, you make her squirt first, and then she's much ready for you to fuck her. My
Well,
Some
I
men,
think it's
God.
some
all.
men
I think
don't
it's
I'm
realize
gay
that.
age.
and I know that.
you
It's
cannot
Some
use
men
age.
don't.
logic though with this.
I think it's also age because Shannon Sharp is outside of my age demographic back in the 90s when they all lied and said that they didn't do it when they do it. Because now, like the boys my age, it's all the American. Because that's another thing too. The
Oh yeah,
American
because I'm
boys in
Jamaican
my
and
age
a lot of them
demographic,
they
they
don't
talk
eat
about it all
pussy.
the time, honey.
Yes, I'm
Now,
Jamaican
I'll say,
and a
I
lot of
was in the
Jamaican men.
army with some men Shannon Sharp's age, and they talked about eating pussy.
Yeah,
Well,
Because they were
some.
like,
I was about to say, Granddad used to be in there trying to lick Grandmama out the tub. What you mean?
Yeah, but
exactly.
they
I'm
don't
like,
talk
oh,
about
I
it. They
remember
won't
one
talk about
man,
it
his
though.
name was
Have
Calvert.
you listened to them old Nasty Boo songs? Yes, they do. I be stroking. I want to lick you up. I want to
okay,
lick you
I'm
down.
gonna say that they may not talk about it, but they all do it. I mean,
Yes.
back in the
Exactly.
'90s, that was the thing. So yeah, they
Hmm.
don't talk about it, but they do it. Believe me, I'm telling you right now,
Well,
they do it.
Now that they
See,
old, they
I
don't
now,
give
say
what
a
do
most
you
crap.
of
call
these
Now that they
men was
it?
out
old, they
here
don't give a
singing
crap and they'll
Candy
talk
Liquor. What
about
you
it. But when
mean?
they were young and in their prime, they was lying saying that they didn't do it. When you get older, you don't give a f, and you gonna talk about how you want to lick them up and down till you say stop. But that whole that's what I said. I feel like it's generational, and it also depends on the demographic. Because um
oh
Naya
no,
just said, the
yeah.
Jamaicans, a lot of them be lying and swear up and down that they don't do it.
But some of them don't though, because I've met some and they will
They
not.
don't.
And
They think
like
it's
you know what?
disgusting.
I'm sorry, but I can't talk to you because I need it all.
But they want you to put them in. But they want you to put
Thank
them
you.
in their mouth.
Exactly. They
As
want
a gay
that.
man,
You
like,
can't
I
put them
really
out,
am just
please.
like, what the fuck you mean?
Well,
Child.
That's
I
like
just
being
want
a
to
gay man
say
and not sucking dick.
I just want to say, you guys, y'all, thank y'all for this. I gotta go. I gotta go to bed, but I appreciate you, Alex, for bringing me on. You guys, y'all have a good night.
You
It's
too.
been
Okay, you
fun.
too, hon. All right,
Bye.
the Tea Lounge has joined us. So tell us, what are your thoughts on this false apology?
Listen, I mean, I don't know what people expected of them. I may have an unpopular opinion. I went to Atlanta recently, and I think that what happened for me is that I was expecting too much because I watched too much television. So I thought I was going to see Love and Hip Hop and BBLs. And I was walking through the airport, and I walked into the airport, and I'm telling my sister, I said, I'm disappointed. I don't see no BBLs or nothing, you know. So I don't know if it was that. I don't know if Atlanta got hyped up to them.
What time was it at the airport?
Oh,
Right.
what time did we get in? We got in. It was like early afternoon, maybe like
Oh, BBLs don't come out until after 10:30. What the fuck you thinking, girl? You want to see a BBL? Honey, early afternoon, them BBLs is sleep.
Because they was
They
out
are
late the night
sleep. They
before.
need their rest. BBLs are
Exactly.
nocturnal. That fat
Yes.
don't wake
Not
up till about
nocturnal.
9. Then they gotta
Not
have the, evening bowel movement. So they ain't gonna be out till about 11.
That
yeah,
is
and then
100%
also
true,
You
though.
think you can
because
see
it
a
was a
BBL in the afternoon?
right, and
That's
also
like
it was
seeing a
a
bat in
family
the
trip.
day. It's rabid.
Right, it was a family trip. So I don't think I made it to the places where the baddies were. I would think that they were out in the, you know, what's that club where they shake the booty and all that stuff? The
King
famous
of
one.
Diamonds. See, you was there
That's
during the
Not the
day
only one. You
shift to
need to go
King
to
of
the Big
Diamonds.
Flame.
In the
You gotta go
words
to the Big
of
Flame.
the incomparable Bernie Mac, the only thing out in the daytime is holes with bullet holes. You want to see the BBLs, you want to see Diamond, you better get there at midnight and have your $40 ready.
For real, though.
Now it's 60
And
now.
these
They
are
have
BBLs. Do you know how much it costs and how much it hurt? They're gonna make you pay.
Right. Yeah, so but yeah,
This is
it's a
a
phony
silly show.
apology. It's a phony apology. I don't know I don't watch their podcast. I didn't know that they were like one of those manosphere type podcasts. I only watch like a couple of like shorts and TikToks where they might be going over something that somebody said on a thread or something like that, or just like little.
Oh my God. Okay, here's how I got introduced to them. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
So, on their TikTok, and this is why I was actually surprised. So, the lighter skinned one was talking about, they were both talking about mixed race families and Diana Ross's family, and how Diana Ross's son married Ashley Simpson, and now his kids are basically white. And the lighter skinned one said, yeah, that will like happen to me. Like, if I do marry a white woman, which is a possibility, my kids would be like
The
really, really
blackness will go
light.
away.
Exactly. And if they marry, and so that was what I met them on, which is why I was surprised, especially when like that is all I knew of them was that TikTok clip. I didn't watch the whole podcast. I only saw that clip. And then like another clip about like, them going to Africa. Like I only saw their oddly pro-black clips. And if you take their show and like get it down to a 30-second clip, it might sound like that.
Right. I thought they were, like I thought they were all for, black women. I did not know that this was a thing. I didn't know their podcast was like that or anything. So
Can I? You
I'm
know
a
what it
Yeah.
is? Because you know what I've noticed, that black men will be pro black men, but they won't be pro black women. AKA, and a perfect example is James Earl Jones, very much pro black man, but not black woman. Sidney
Hello.
Poitier, very much pro black man, but not pro black woman.
Harry
The other one that
Belafonte.
was in Carmen, what's his name? Yep, Harry Belafonte,
Hair
very
Belafonte.
much pro black man, but not pro black woman. So it can sound like they're pro black because they're talking about their black experience, but that doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
mean
as a
that
man.
when it comes time to really step up to the plate, that they're going to do that when it comes to women.
I was gonna
They
say
seem
Penelope
like
said
DL
they
bros.
seem like DL bros. James is in love with the other one. I
that's
can
what
tell
I
Baby,
you
they
right
That's
are.
all
now,
I have
James
ever
ain't in
heard.
love with
All right,
nobody
baby.
dark
All I
skinned.
ever heard.
Ooh,
I mean,
ooh,
you
Baby,
saw
James
that
be in love
photo
with
shoot that they
Fuhad.
did. That
they
photo
do give me
shoot when
couple
they were.
vibes.
Yeah, like that photo shoot they did where they were like having the odd, positions and stuff, trying to show like, like we're like we're soft black men and we don't care about
gosh.
looking gay, this and that, but yet down below like you said, like the disrespect for black women is crazy. Like you like who you like, you don't have to discourage other people or talk about them. Just like there's a difference. I feel like there's a thin line
But
between
Because it's
that.
self-hate.
I would like
It's
to
a lot of
highlight this.
self-hate too. What the
Y'all,
heck?
Yes,
y'all, y'all
definitely,
acting
because
like they are not from the land of the colonizer. They are from
that's
the
why I don't like.
original. Like this ain't diet racism. This is original Coke. This ain't
Yeah,
Coke Zero.
like
This is
my
the real
brother,
Coke.
he's
Cocaina.
like, we're like, so like we're black, and his
Not
baby mother,
hyena.
she's white, and then they have like my nieces go through a lot of issues because people make fun of them, this and that. But it's like I feel like this. I don't know, like it's just a hard discussion. But racism doesn't have to be involved in everything. I feel like why is that so important? Like people are just people.
Okay, you know what? Wait, hold on. Penelope said, "Are y'all really surprised they are British?" So you know why
That's my
I'm
point.
That
surprised,
is
and
true though.
let's take it. Let's look at this from a sheer business aspect. Let's take all the personal feelings out of it.
Yes.
Like Asia said, I'm surprised they don't know what side their bread is buttered on. I'm surprised that they didn't have pat answers, lies, and we love black women and only date black women ready. And then when they end up dating a white woman, say, well, it just kind of happened.
Right.
I'm surprised they didn't pull that.
Because
I
if
know.
they have management, whoever booked them on that show, they also didn't do their due diligence to say, "Hey, listen, these are the type of things that he goes into. So if he tries to get you there, this is how you need to get." Like, there's no media training because
But
it's
I feel
like this
like
is how you get around it. Because what we can't afford is for you to upset your demographic.
But I feel like they didn't do that because they don't really care. Because I feel like
Right.
this show, like they already do that. They
Oh,
already talk about black women anyway, and they have
Right.
such a big following. So it's like, why
E-
am I gonna pretend to say something where I don't really? And you saw they didn't even answer. Like, you like black women, white women.
Eva,
They laughed and
Eva
they said we
said,
love
what does
everybody.
being British mean with how they act? Girl, Eva
They,
asked, what does
Child.
being British mean with how they act? Child, you ain't
this,
been on TikTok. You
no, well,
need to get on TikTok and see how uppity, and
Yes,
I think that's the most appropriate word, how
but it's,
uppity Black British people act to American people. Oh, you don't know where you come from. Bitch, you're from Jamaica. You don't know where the fuck you're from either. And okay, you might know your tribe in Africa, but why aren't you there rebuilding your country that the white man stole? Y'all had a home
hello,
court advantage.
yep.
But after
Also,
you
I feel
told us your strongest warriors, bitch, then they came and took your country, didn't they?
Also, I think it would be very interesting if they went on a white British podcast and they said something about black women, because I feel like they would assume that they were talking about their women as opposed to going on an American podcast and they talk about black women, because I also feel like they also see black Americans as something different.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they
Well, they
can't.
exactly.
They can't
do.
stand us
They
Exactly.
over
That
do.
there.
that is another thing. They look at Black Americans
Less
as
than
something different.
Because
exactly.
I
They're less
understand
I
than.
what
didn't say less
sis was
than.
saying
I
about going
say
through the
different.
airport, but there's no way, if you're a podcast, especially a podcast, and you know your demographic is women, and you're going to Atlanta, you're not going to go to certain spots, and you tell me that you haven't seen that one bad, no, not
Yeah,
one baddie in
yeah.
Atlanta, and we all know what they meant, because that wasn't like, oh, like we all know what they were talking about when they said they didn't see a baddie. They didn't see
They meant a
one black
black. They didn't
attractive
see no.
woman in Atlanta.
They didn't see no white looking baddie. That's what they meant.
Well, now hold on. You
Well,
didn't
not
see any
white looking. They
BBLs, so maybe
right.
they were there when you were there. Maybe they were there in the afternoon,
hilarious.
and at 2 p.m., all the baddies asleep.
Listen,
They
Okay,
I
didn't
was
go to
in
the
the
Maybe
hookah
they might
lounge.
be
airport.
in the
y'all know I'm joking.
mountains.
Y'all know I'm joking. There are beautiful women around Atlanta all
Yes.
times of the
Yeah.
day and night. You can go into any hospital and find some beautiful nurses. Hell, you
Okay.
can,
Yeah.
There's
okay.
beautiful women everywhere.
Because Contessa's a bad bitch.
Hmm.
Crazy.
American medicine.
Or
Right.
who's to
I
I'm
say
think
that
boring
they
as
were in
hell. Boring
Atlanta?
as all hell. But beautiful.
Who's to say they were in Atlanta? What if they were in Roswell talking about we're in Atlanta? Were you in Atlanta proper? Or were you in
listen,
Kent
I didn't even
Springs?
know
Were
I
you in
was in I didn't
Alpharetta?
even know.
No, but hold on. Here's what I think. Now, hold on. Let me tell you this. Here's what I
Mhm.
think happened. Here's why I think they didn't meet. Keywords now, keywords. They didn't meet any baddies in Atlanta. No one knew who they were, and those corny ass accents didn't work. They
Ooh.
don't. You have to
Yep.
have like pull a baddie to get a baddie's attention in Atlanta. You have to have the swag. You have to have the coin. Bitch, you're paying taxes in 2 countries.
Mm.
Okay,
I
now that's
definitely.
Reed. That's
The
Reed.
accent ain't enough. Simon proved that.
Oh,
Honestly, though.
so I think that like, okay, y'all had the accents, but I feel like Black women that doesn't work on Black men. They hear an accent. Oh my God, you got them. Palm of your hand. Black women, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. All
Some of
right.
them,
Yeah.
Okay,
some of
from
them, yes,
London, whatever.
but not.
And I will also say, going back to the question of what does being British mean with how they act, there is a bit of a history in how, I guess, how they elevate interracial couples in Great Britain as opposed to, you know,
Oh,
Black
it's a whole
couples.
different race.
I
Yeah.
mean, you
So in
see,
Great
Yeah.
Britain, if you are mixed race, you are
Yep.
treated differently. It is so
Like Tyler.
different from
I'm about to
America.
say,
Tyler's
look at
mixed.
Tyler. She's colored. She's not black, and they're above
Well,
black
And
she's
and
from
people.
that's
South
South
Africa. That's
Africa,
very
and that
different.
it's a whole different, and it's something
Like
that it's like it
over
doesn't
there,
play
it's
well
different.
over here, but
Exactly.
if you go over there, it's like, oh, okay, it really is
Yeah.
a whole
Wherever
different
you go,
world,
really,
and
like
so you don't realize like, oh, you can't say that word over here at all in any shape, form, or fashion. And it's like, yes, that may be a box you check over there, but you can't check that over here.
And
and
to
then
be
over
fair,
there,
that's a lot of countries outside of Jim Crow America. You got
exactly.
Canada where there's people that are mixed race. Being biracial is normal. There isn't, you don't say you're like, there's no 1% rule. You're mixed.
Yep.
Mixed is in every country. You got
Mixed
that
is
in
above.
Mexico, you got it in
Yep.
Colombia, you got it everywhere. Just not the
Exactly.
US, because we was a little slow here. Use black or use white.
Yep.
Which is it?
Well, I don't think it's necessary. I think that is part of it. I think we also recognize about like people being mixed. I think the issue was because I was I don't know. I'm having conflicted feelings about Tyler because I like her music. I think her album was really good. It gave me like for me it had like the Ami Apano, but it also reminded me of like the 90s R&B with like with a twist. I really enjoyed her album. I feel like it's a whole playthrough. So I just want to preface that. I enjoy her music. I think the way she's showing up, I think it also goes back to media training, right? Because I watched this TikTok with this black girl. She said, when you go to Europe, you know that you're not supposed to tip. When you go to Asian countries, you know that they're very clean and you're not supposed to litter. So even though culturally, when you go to different places, you understand. When you go to Muslim countries, you know that there's an expected level of coverage or modesty that you're supposed to show up in, and you respect those cultures. But for some reason, when people come over to America, they feel like those boundaries don't have to be respected. And while I understand, so like I
Because
think
you let
I
them get away with it.
I
That's why
think,
we
and,
don't.
right, and so I think what it is, it's like for me, I think what it is, like for example, it started with the Breakfast Club interview when she had and when Charlemagne, especially when he talked about all the things that she's like, I'm not talking about it. I think that rubs black people the wrong way because one, like you didn't want to talk about the race thing when you could have used your platform to explain, right? But you feel like you don't deserve an explanation. She had a whole tour that she had and she canceled it and said it was for health reasons, but now everywhere we turn around, she's there. But she didn't want to answer questions as to why she canceled her tour. And then there was just like some other things as well. Then she comes up, and even though she said she wasn't talking to Haley, she was talking to both of them. And so I just think it's like I think it's just a little bit ignorant
And then I hate
to
how like
I
non-black
think
like Cardi B like came to defend Tyler like even though
right, like people
Cardi B
told
is
her
not
that
black, so
and
it's like
people
the
told her you
non-black
need to sit this one out, sis. You need to sit this
exactly
one
like
out because there's microaggressions that you're not going to pick up on. Because if it
exactly
wasn't an issue when she asked them to hold the award, there would have been hesitancy on both sides the way it was. They both
exactly they took
it wasn't just Little Nas X that was looking at her like she was crazy. And
exactly, and
so
oof, I'm
and
glad
so that
Haley didn't
credibility
grab
has to
it.
come in there, right? And so there is so that air of I'm not black, that like when you're raised in something, like so there's that unconscious bias. Her unconscious bias was showing, and she's getting called out for it. And because and
Exactly.
instead of just trying to hear it, it's this these diaspora wars are coming in effect. And so we understand like because now they're saying, oh, Americans, you think you know everything, da 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 da. But when apartheid was happening, we understood what was going on because there were parallels over here, and we helped advocate and fight and say, hey, this isn't right. So once again, when we're trying to tell you that these things that are showing up, these microaggressions are showing up and they're not right, they don't want to hear it. We
Exactly.
understand race because they talk about us all the time saying how we don't have a culture. We do have a culture, and within our culture, because we sit next to the devil that created it, we understand it the most.
And if y'all
So we
had a
can
culture,
clock
why
it.
don't you go live in it?
So we clock
Exactly.
it. We
Why
clock
don't you
it.
go live in it? Why don't you go live in it? Because you living in council housing in London.
Listen.
That's where you live in, council housing.
Ooh.
Council housing. Yeah, I know about it. I can give you a British read. I can read, honey, I can read from coast to coast. I
Come
can
on,
read
call
from
that the
I can
poverty.
read from Montauk to Bristol. Okay, y'all are in council housing. Your families are in council housing, but y'all want to talk about we know where we came from. Yeah, you ain't going the fuck back. So shut up. Shut
Seriously.
all of the fucks up.
Yeah.
Find a new fuck and shut it up.
Honestly, though.
Isn't
The
that the
ignorance.
projects? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's council housing. Watch Chewing Gum. Watch Chewing Gum. That like
I love that
ooh,
show. She is so
I was about to say
talented.
something slick. I'm gonna keep it real cute. Just watch Chewing Gum.
I love that show.
Where can you find chewing gum? I never even heard of it.
It was
Netflix.
on Netflix. I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know
on
where it is
Netflix.
It was
now.
on Netflix for a minute. I don't know where it is now, but also you could just look up council housing on YouTube and look up see who's living in there. See who's living in there. Look
The
up the rate of
Tylers, it's the
ownership
Tylers
for
and
Africans
mhm,
in London. Look up how many own their flats. Look that up. Look it
it's
up.
the coloreds and the blacks.
Seriously, though.
My father gave a keynote speech at Oxford University.
I know that's right.
Okay.
Okay, period.
Right?
Know a little about it.
It's just, I don't get it.
I will also say fight like okay if fight or flight hit you now okay now I want that now let's talk about this because now Asia I think you might be my witness for this one. Now I was also put in this position, granted not on this large of a stage, but I was doing lives back when lives were first getting started, and Monica from All About the Tea came on my channel. And we were doing a live, and Married to Medicine was in its infancy. It was when Quad and Greg were just getting divorced. And she made a joke. She said, oh, well, Quad has that, huge forehead because her husband has been dragging her around by the hair. And I said, oh, no, stop. That's not funny. Domestic violence isn't funny. That's not what we're going to do here. And checked her, and then we moved on.
Right.
It was that simple. And then she called me after and she was like, what was that? And I was like, you said something inappropriate, and our audience is, majority women, like they're not going to want to hear that. Right. Some of them have probably been through that. This is a place for them to escape and be happy. Oh, I'm not going to have you check me. Well, if you say something like that
on my platform,
or on yours, or
exactly.
if I'm there, it's my platform because I'm there taking part, and I will leave. I will say what I need to say and leave. You can air what you want to air,
because then you're guilty by association, and people are going to think that you agree.
Motherfucking
and they gonna think that you agree with what she said if you don't check her.
If I condone it for a split second, if I don't nip it in the bud, she's gonna keep on going.
Exactly. Yep. And then if you wait to check her after the first time, then it's like, oh, why ain't say something?
Oh,
before?
After the fact, don't nobody care. It is about what you do in that moment. Exactly. And I have had to make white men uncomfortable in
Oh
the moment.
well,
But I don't give a shit.
exactly. You ain't gonna make me
I
uncomfortable.
don't give a, but again, then maybe this is like the difference between gay black men and straight black men. We as gay black men have been made to feel uncomfortable in ways even women couldn't imagine.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's just, oof.
So I have learned, oh no. Before you get off that plane off the runway, I'm gonna kick it in the balls in the hangar. If we gonna go, we gonna go right motherfucking now. I'm gonna take you to the boneyard.
Alex, I think you have somebody in the back.
Liam wants to get on.
No, he's not here.
Ah!
He's not here. He's not in the chat. I have somebody in the back. Girl, I turned around. I was like, oh, who's in my house?
No, somebody's in the back. I don't know.
Oh, biomist.
Stop telling me when one of my friends is here, oh, you have a ghost in your house. No, my friend was here.
What's
I have
wrong?
friends over. And guess what? My friends like to watch me do my show because they think I'm funny. It's nice to do it with company sometimes. Y'all are like, you've got, it's like, damn, can I have a friend over? Shit. But then they say I have a ghost in my house, and I'm like, what the hell? Ooh, what? Sometimes it'd be cigarette smoke, or sometimes like I'll
Not
have
cigarette
smoke.
Oh man,
Scared the hell out of me.
I'm sorry. I just saw someone trying to get on from back.
They said they got some tea.
Oh well, no, he's not here anymore, and this is a black women's conversation, and me.
Oh, I'm not arguing on that.
But
I am not arguing on that. Child, isn't that the problem? Child. Oh,
I have to say, I am so glad that this isn't me, and this also shows you can, like, it's best to sometimes just shut up and eat your food. And every opportunity isn't an opportunity. And two, as comedians, you have to be ready for somebody to try you. Now, I you know what? I ain't going to say that. I'm not even going to allude. I just know that whenever I get on camera, like when I invite people on with this live, I am ready for each and every one of you to try it. I have the click off button, and I always have a slick read ready in case somebody tries to try me. And I feel like that's something you have to have in this business. Now, does that mean I'm not welcoming and friendly?
no.
But
it just means that you're ready for the BS if it happens. You gotta be ready.
And fortunately, I have a great audience where it doesn't happen because we respect black women and black women respect me. And I'm grateful that I had enough sense to be grateful for the audience I have rather than go chasing a group of people that don't care about me.
Well, at least you have the sense. Obviously, some people don't.
For the life,
like Al Reynolds.
I will say, I thought I was going to have more gay people in my audience. I thought that my humor would resonate with them more. I didn't know my humor would resonate with straight women as much. And I'm like, oh, really? But then I thought about it, and I see it where it's like, honestly, we have more in common in certain ways. Our end goals are the same.
Not even just that. I think also you're just not you're not. I think the misogyny is just more there than you think. Because you know who else is very misogynistic, and I be seeing what they say in the comments. Christopher Milan, whatever his name is.
My misogyny is there?
No, what I'm saying is you don't perform in misogyny. So therefore, and what I'm saying is I think gay men are more misogynistic than we give them credit to, because you would assume that they would be more understanding, but they're not. And so I'm not surprised when you say that's not your vast demographic, especially with the topics that you talk about and the way that you talk about the women. I'm not surprised that you don't get as many as you would think because you don't participate in those things. And then I was saying how, because I also noticed that now Christopher Milan is also one of those ones who's not an ally, who thinks that he is, but he's not.
Because I'll say, like, when I talk about the housewives, and also I talk about all the housewives, so I read the white women like I read the black women, like I read the Asian women, I read all the housewives. That's kind of my thing. But I mean, like, what's my biggest read on your dress? What's my biggest read on a dress? Somebody give it to me.
A biggest read on a dress?
My biggest read. What's my first critique on what someone's wearing?
Ill fitting. That's what that came to me.
Nobody. A weak seam.
Oh.
So really, I'm insulting the designer more than I am the housewife, or their stylist more than I am the housewife. And when I talk about Kenya's cruel, like when I talk about Kenya not ordering them crab legs, crab cakes. She didn't order the crab cakes. I didn't make her do that. And I'm not making, and in no way about me making fun of her not ordering food for the other women she was on the trip for. That's not making fun of her for being black or being a woman. That's making fun of someone for being stingy. That read would work on a man or a woman. It would be for anybody who ordered food on the trip and didn't, because you know how imagine what I would say in person.
But Alex, I think that's what it is. It's not, you don't have, you are opportunity, an equal opportunity reader. And so because we see that and we know that whoever is out of line can get it and it's not based on any kind of demographic, we're going to be here.
Exactly.
Also, like we saw with Housewives of Atlanta, all the women were different shades and they all insulted each other, fought with each other, but we never had any kind of colorism accusations.
Okay.
Ever. For what?
Unlike Giselle.
Unlike Gizzards.
And then Potomac came on, and that shit was season 1.
Yep.
Like Giselle, like I don't even watch Potomac, and I know about her colorist comments, and I just I can't do it.
I'm not even gonna watch this season. I'm not even gonna watch this season. Yes. Yes.
That is true. It's a unisex read, because if you have on a weak suit with a weak suit, you're gonna get the same energy. You're gonna get the same heat because you come on this show and you purport to have money. Also, purport is the word of the day. And you purport to have money and you come on, I'm talking to you, Mark. I'm talking to you, Mark Daly. You come on Tamron's Hall show in a suit that looks like it was balled up in the bottom of a suitcase from somebody that was taking a coach ticket to a wedding they couldn't afford to go to tell the bride that they should have married them, even though they ain't got enough money for her.
Are you guys excited for the new Real Housewives of Atlanta, the new season?
Nope, I don't want to watch that one, and I also don't want to watch Potomac. I saw that Wendy's gonna start over here people pleasing with Giselle. The only thing, I don't know how to feel, because my mind wants to make an excuse to say she's playing chess, not checkers, because she's also the only one who's got people from the White House correspondents on the show. She's really showing that she's really about this life, and that she's really in these circles that none of these other women are really in. And when I say none of these other women, I'm specifically talking about Giselle.
Also, let's shout out. I love how, and this is actually like something that's flown under the radar, but actually needs a lot more attention. How Kamala Harris was on Married to Medicine, and now Miss Pierre, I know her name. It's Corinne. I know her last name is Pierre. The White House press secretary is coming on
Potomac.
this season of Potomac with Wendy. And you're right. Wendy is Wendy is jockeying to, I think that Wendy is going to write a book. I actually would love to, this is one of those things where it's I would put on my school hat and be like, I can actually help you write this book, because we can write it from a perspective of my doctoral thesis, how reality television show has, affected real life relationship, and what better way to do my thesis than to help write her book. But that's something my father's been gnawing at me to do all my life.
I think you should do it.
Don't help him win. Don't you be on his side, God damn it.
My mom made sure I went to school and got my master's.
No.
She's forcing me to go get my doctorate. And I'm like, listen,
look,
I
will become a doctor. I do have to do it before he dies, but he's not even in his mid-60s. I got a minute.
So listen, guys, I have to get up in the morning. Thank you for having me, Alice, and ladies. I enjoyed talking with you all. Have a beautiful one, all right?
You too.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. All right, have a good one, y'all.
I have to say, as we close out, they've gotten themselves in a mess. Now, there is a level of some of this will blow over. Some of their fans will come back, but this will definitely be a fly in the ointment. And this, honestly, I feel like is a great moment for all Black podcasters, because an ugly part about this business is you will have to deal with, if you want to grow, you are going to have to deal with other people other than your core audience. And even sometimes people that have your core audience might not have your best intentions. But I feel like this is a great lesson for Black podcasters, where it's when you're going outside of your comfort zone, be ready to stand up, be ready to nip it in the bud, be ready to say, and also be ready to say, hey, before we even start filming, here's an outline of all I want us to talk about.
Exactly.
So we can keep it on the straight and narrow, get the filming done, and move it on.
Or not even just that, because I do think that sometimes when you try to stifle a interview, it can be seen. But like I said before, media training and due diligence, because had they just did their due diligence and knew that this is the type of time that this guy is on, and this is not the first time where he's made jokes while Black people are around, and to see how to handle it, then I feel like then it would have been a different thing, and probably it could have put in a viral moment where he checked him, and it probably would have incentivized people to watch them more.
But I feel like they didn't do that because that's how they really feel. But you're definitely right, though. But when it comes to them, I feel like they agree with
right.
Why they went there and said didn't say anything, but
exposed them, and they had the playback. They had the opportunity to be like, you know what? I don't think that's going to fare well. But like we all understand that's how they felt like it was okay. They didn't see an issue with it, and that's the issue. And that's why they're the ones getting the most heat, because you are the one. Whether they like it or not, they were our representative in that moment, and they failed us.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see y'all